So welcome back, everybody. Now, I was all over the internet looking at people's thoughts and I guess, comments concerning the series. And I almost took it personally myself. Like I get it, Henry Cavill is not in the series. And y'all, Henry Cavill makes the series. Okay? Point period blank. And I agree with that, okay? Not to say that the other actors and actresses are chopped liver, but I get that. But I feel like people drug this series through the mud mercilessly. Like, I feel like they were a bit over dramatic about how they felt like it was so bad. It was like, oh, it's so bad. I just couldn't get through it. Like, they were saying basically stuff like they'd rather drink, battery acid than watch it again. And saying that it was the worst series of all time. And there were some people reminding them that, that Velma series, which I haven't even watched the Velma series. And I already know that it's trash. And I also don't appreciate that they slapped a black face on this Velma. So now everybody's going to remember, it was the black Velma. That was a trash one. Y'all make me sick. But anyways, I feel like people were dragging this series unnecessarily. Like, it's not as bad as people were coming out to make it seem. And I feel like I have some theories as to why that is. But I'm not going to say it in this video. But anyways, I actually thought this series was pretty decent. I was also actually shocked that it was only like 4 episodes. I was like, wait a minute, where's the rest of the series? Like, I was waiting for more. I thought it was pretty good, to be honest. The only thing that I didn't like was how fast-paced it was. And I think a lot of people were saying that as well. It kind of gave you like this, we're going on a journey. And then you like pick up people along the way. It's like whenever I don't know if y'all played Dragon Quest before, but I was like obsessed. Still am with Dragon Quest and the games like that. Whenever you're on a quest and you meet new characters and then y'all have like something happens and like you help them along the way. And then they're like, oh, I'm joining your party now. And they get to be a playable character. This is kind of the feel that it was giving me. That's what I was getting, and I like that. But the time lapse that it took for them to do that was very unrealistic. Okay, the main character, the Lark, and the young guy, I forgot what his name was in this series, that she fell in love with. I'm gonna be honest, I was here for it. I really was. I'm a sucker for romance. There, I said it. I'm not ashamed either. So anything with action, romance, suspense, and this had it all. So minus the witchcraft, basically. But I was here for their romance. Like again, like I said, it was a bit unbelievable because of how fast paced it happened. I was like, I don't know when y'all had time to fall this deeply in love, but who am I to judge your love story? But anyways, I'm a sucker for romance. There, I said it again. But I did like this series. I like how it started following her. Well, it started with Gaskier. Now, I didn't understand what was going on. If I remember correctly, he got caught up. I think he still got sold by the slave merchant or something like that in the second season. So I was like, oh, that's what happened to him. And then the whole reality got stopped. Got arrested, if you will, by this one lady telling him about how they basically made the first Witcher. And I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. How they went all the way back. And he's making a whole song about it. And they went all the way back to the Lark. And it was sad and depressing to me. Like, whenever her sister came, it was like, I miss you. Like, I know you left because you didn't like fighting and mom made you do some pretty heinous things. We all have, but fighting is our life. Okay? This is what we do. You're too good to be wasting your talent singing like a bard. And I was like, what's wrong with her if she wants to sing? If she wants to sing, ain't nothing wrong with that. I was like, you just threw all the musicians and singers under the bus. Like, singing is this just stain on y'all's reputation. Like, she can't sing and know how to kick butt too. And I mean, really, she helped save that young lady, that young girl. I was like, there's nothing wrong with her singing. And she was like, you need to come back. And she was like, I ain't really trying to do that. And I don't blame her either. Learning how to fight is cool. But then when you have to actually do stuff like unalive people and you got to be subject to a clan that does bad things, that's not fun. So I don't blame her for not wanting to be involved with that. Talking about some mom will take you back. Yeah, she's pissed off at you. You're kind of like the black sheep now, but I still love you. And I was like, well, that's very sweet of her. And she was like, okay, let's go. And then they just shot up her sister with arrows. And then she didn't unleash the can of whoopah on everybody. And then the other guy that she was trapped in the thing with, that she took his little thing, the two of them, that fight was something else when they were calling each other names, and then he punched her in the face, and I was like, oh. But then again, she did like hit him in the face too, and this was a fight. And listen, she wasn't no pushover, okay? She wasn't no delicate flower. She knew how to fight, so she was like, listen, if I'm gonna get into a fight with a dude, we gonna fight for real. Child, I am a delicate flower, okay? I am a delicate flower. I'll put it that way. I love the fight scenes, the choreograph, fighting. But listen, don't be punching me in the face, okay? Because I'm going to cry and call 911. How about that? But anyways, and the part where they showed him from the Dog Clan, I don't know what to say about that. Like, I feel like deep down inside, he did love the princess, but he was trying to use some kind of self-restraint. So I respect him for that. He was trying to have some self-restraint because he was like, listen, princess, I'm not supposed to be doing this. I could get kicked out. You could get in trouble. And she was like, I don't care. And he was trying to let her know, like, this is kind of like a weird situation. And I feel like it was all kinds of power dynamics that were being disrespected. Like him being with her, like she wasn't no, listen, she wasn't no innocent Mary, okay? She knew what was going on. She had been around the block and back, if you get my drift. And she was trying to tell him that. And he was like, I don't know if this is what you really want, princess. She was like, yes, it is. Now give me them draws. And I was just like, ma'am, you're a little too aggressive for me, okay? And he was trying to be nice and gentlemanly, even though he was trying to, like I said, have some self-restraint. Then got caught up by his dad and his sister. There had to be some kind of awkward mess right there. You over there clapping the cheeks of the princess. You're not even supposed to be in that kind of situation or relationship with her. And then your father and your sister walks in. He was talking about something, I should just unallow you right now. And I'm like, that's still your son. And he was like, oh, you just mad because our other brother, was the one who got unalived during the war instead of me. He was like, whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, it kind of does seem that way though. He was like, I still love you, whatever. And he gonna say, now get going. And now he's gonna take his weapons too. I'm like, you might as well have shot him right there because you know what's out there. Anyways, and like I said, he runs into her and he was like, I gotta get up out of here, man. And then they leave together and they go, she finds out that, eventually she finds out, what happened. That the princess then turned her back on her brother. And I get it. She had every right to be upset, not wanting to be married to somebody who she didn't know. Everybody deserves the right to choose who they want to be with. But the way she handled that situation, how you gonna unalive your brother and all of the clans that were helping y'all? That's basically like hiring somebody, like a bodyguard, to do your dirty work and then offering the bodyguard to hide that you did dirty work and hired them to do it. I was like, those people did not deserve, and his sister did not deserve that. And so when they were that part where they were in I think that was like a brothel, not a brothel, it was like a bar. And, they had said what they said, and he got up from that table. And she was trying to stop him. I know you mad at your previous lover because you just found out that she got your whole clan and your daddy and your sister unalive. But you can't afford to go into this with your emotions. Like, we gotta plan ahead. We gotta get back up. He was like, whatever, fine. And so then they go to the Ghost Clan lady, played by, I cannot remember her name, but she is a phantasmal actress. And she was like, what are you doing here? I got in trouble when you left the clan. She was like, I'm sorry, master. And I was like, now this girl, she went from kicking butt and taking names to being this humble child in the presence of her teacher, which is what you're supposed to do. Child, all she had to do was bop you upside the head. Like, listen, I would have been like, I'm sorry, master, please forgive me. Like, that would have been me. So, anyways, she was like, well, we need you to come with us. Well, remember, they do got your sword, right? Your clan sword. So, we might be able to get that back, incentives to join. At first, she was like, no, because it's not even enough of us. You forgot what it's like to work in a team. And this dude, he got anger issues. He had been his emotions. And then was trying to train them. Wow. And I don't know, that flip when she was like, no, I'm not coming with y'all. And then all of a sudden, she just gets up and was like, you need to do this. You need to do that. Dodge, smack. What are you doing? Look at you, stupid. Like, I wasn't believing that change of heart that quickly. But I was like, they need her, so let's just move on. And then they run into the other guy, the other elf guy. I forgot what his name was, too. The one with the beard that he kept stroking so much. That was funny to me. And then they go and they run into the other two people who were like, they celestial twins. And then they find out the dwarf whose, person got, that was brutal, that story. That made me sad for real. But she took care of all them people though. But anyways, They all come together, and then they're all telling her, or they're trying to tell them, like, okay, well, they have this beast that is unstoppable, and we can't do nothing about it. Like, we don't have what it takes to defeat that thing. And the guy that was there that had got captured by the, what was he, the Dark Lord elf? Whatever he was. He had got captured by this man, and this man forced him to basically open a portal to another dimension where he could talk some kind of, this might as well be hell and the devil to me, because that's what it looked like. And he was basically talking to the devil, but I think it's supposed to be like the Frost something queen, or the Frost, the Frost, I don't know. But anyways, Lady Winter, I can't remember. Somebody knows. But anyway, talking to this lady, talking about some, give me the power. I want the power. And the thing is like, oh, you got to make a sacrifice or whatever. And I was like, I can see where this is going, and I don't like it. And he done brought these kids. I wanted to beat him up when he brought those. When you mess with kids, I get mad. That made me so mad when he brought them kids up there. They trusted him. And then that girl helped him bring them kids up there. She didn't think, maybe we shouldn't do this, Like, we can do some other way, but, kids, really? That was so sad to me. And then only got, a singe of fire? Meanwhile, they didn't tapped into another dimension, with a bunch of monsters. And the main character, the Rock, almost got by a giant centipede, a giant monster centipede, basically. And then they're like, that's the kind of stuff that's over there. Oh, and couldn't none of them. At first I was like, yeah, go ahead and fight it. But then I realized, and I remembered, that the only people who were fighting those kinds of monsters, if y'all remember back in the Witcher series, were the Witchers. Nobody else could really handle fighting those monsters. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right, they need a Witcher. And then the two celestial twins was like, oh, well, we have a potion where we could like make you into something, but it's not gonna be something good. It's gonna be a warped monster of a being, but it's gonna help you fight them things though. It's gonna help you fight that monster. And they were like, so what do we have to do? And they were like, it's gonna mess you up. Trust me, you ain't gonna want to do this. And he was like, you might not make it. Oh, no, scratch that. You won't make it after we do this. And then they were talking about it. It was just an experiment that was in the early stages of development. And I was like, y'all can't find another way? Y'all have like a cannon y'all can build or something? Like a jumbo arrow or something? She decides, oh, this is my destiny. I just have to go down for the greater elfhood. And then he gets to the point where he was like, are you really sure you want to do this? And he was really like mad at her because he was going to go through with this. Like I said, the romance happened a little fast, but you don't see me complaining other than that. And the part where they were in the mist, and that was so sad. Like whenever she remembered what her mother made her do, what her clan made her do, I was like, man, now she's got to live with guilt. And when he helped her out of the water, when he like came up with her, he was like, I got you. And I was like, I got her. But anyways, she gonna get drunk and then fall asleep. And then he gonna take the potion in her stead. And I was like, oh my God, great. Now she's gotta live with that on her conscience too. And just watching him, I was like, oh my God, that would have been her if she would have took that potion. Like, she does realize he just saved her from a lifetime of pain. And he was like, seeing him writhe in agony was heartbreaking. And then all that time he spent doing that, and then the others was waiting outside, and she was like, wait, is this is the procedure, right? And they're like, oh no, this is just the introduction. And I was like, they said that this is the prep for the procedure, that he didn't went through hell just right there. And they were like, we didn't need you to hold him down. And then they pouring the rest of the stuff in him, and he's just screaming in agony. And I was like, this is terrible. But she never once chickened out. She stayed by his side to the bitter end. Y'all get you a lady like Lark. But anyways, and ladies, get you a man like him that'll, I mean, not take some potion or something like that, but that'll, put you first. You know what I'm saying. But anyways, that was so sad. And then he wakes up and he's got the Witcher eyes, and he's like, oh my God, all the senses are heightened, and I'm having a hard time controlling it, and I just want to rip things to shreds. And she was like, you got to control it. And at that moment when like they held hands, and I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And I was going to say that the series, I appreciate, that they weren't as explicit as the Witcher series, because I don't even want to think about it. Like, I felt convicted as somebody who's a believer in God for watching that series with all of the butt nakedism. Yes, I made that word up. That was in there. And I was going to say, oh, I'm glad it didn't have no butt naked booty cheeks. And before I could even say that, I had to watch a scene of the princess screwing him, and that was, early in the series, or when he was like remembering. And thank goodness they at least didn't show no boobs or no butt cheeks. Because listen, I'm not trying to see that, okay? Yeah, you handle what you handle between you and God, but I am trying to keep mine eyes clear, okay? You know what I'm saying? But they had a little moment or whatever, and then he was like, he basically told her he would die for her. And again, I thought that was absolutely romantic and sweet, but I'm still not, believing this time jump in the romance. But I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And then she was like, you already did. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Anyways, I'm sorry. I told you I was a sucker for romance. I warned y'all. But anyways, so then they all get together and they're like, now why couldn't, the lady from the Ghost Clan just tell them, I'm going to go do X, Y, Z, and I'm going to set something up and etc. No, she had to go off on her own. Make it seem like she was going to sell them out to the princess. And then the princess was like, oh yeah, we'll take some soldiers or whatever. And then cornered them, only for them to get jumped by some cell swords. And then they got, switched with the stuff, the helmets or whatever. And they went in there. I mean, just walked right in. And I was like, wow. I don't know how she put that together, but applause, kudos. Because I don't know I believe that. But anyways, I'm having a hard time understanding how the princess is going to try and execute one of the members of the Ghost Clan for just wanting to get the sword back and giving her who she wanted anyways. Talking about, you're a sellout and there's nothing good that comes to sellouts. Take her away and execute her. When she was the biggest sellout of all. Like, she literally got rid of her brother, her lover's father and sister. Y'all, I feel like that was the pot calling the kettle black. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, and then she gonna say, bring him to me. Like what made her think he wanted to even look at her after he found out what she did? I'm still trying to understand that. Like, you think what's in between your legs is that good that he's gonna forget that you offed his father and his sister? Anyways, she brings him up there and he's like, I can't believe you did what you did. And she was like, oh, well, I did it for a reason. And she was trying to say that she was trying to help Elfkind, but really, she was trying to help herself. She wanted to be in charge. She wanted her own name to go down in the history books. She was very self-righteous and very arrogant and prideful. She wasn't looking out for anybody but herself. She wanted what she wanted, and she really didn't care about her elf brother and sister, not the little people, so to speak. And it's pretty symbolic, I feel like, of a lot of leaders in real life. They be talking about, oh, I'm doing this for everybody, but no, they're doing it for themselves so they can look good, so people can worship them. But they don't actually care about doing stuff to help people that need help. And he was basically like losing it, and she was like, I'm just to get out of here now. I'm like, oh, now you're scared of him. Now you're scared of him. And then he starts fighting the thing, and I was like, see, that right there is why the Witchers are the only ones that are equipped for this kind of stuff. He was actually doing it, y'all. I was like, wow. And he's the only one who could have. If he wouldn't went through the procedure, they would be up the creek. Meanwhile, they're trying to stop the Dark Lord, who then just tricked both of them and stabbed them in the back after they stabbed him in the back. And her brother, and got them in there only for him to sacrifice the young lady that was helping him all that time. Because they kept saying, the thing kept saying it has to be like close to your heart or something like that. I can't remember the actual phrase. And I'm like, he's going to sacrifice her. And she's too stupid to realize it. I knew it was only a matter of time before eventually it would click. He was basically almost like Thanos in that moment, thinking to himself, oh yeah, there is one person that I do actually sort of kind of do care about. Come here, Gamora. Like, I knew at some point in time it was gonna click. He was like, oh yeah, I kind of do care about her. She's my second-hand person. The only person I actually think a little something of other than everybody else. Sorry, it's for the better good. Slicety dicety. And I was like, really? After what she did to help you? And then he got all the power and then got that guy locked in there after the princess convinced him to help her stab him in the back. I was like, that didn't pay off well. And he was talking to that other guy about, I don't know if I should do this. One moment I could be making a good decision. The next I could be making a decision that's going to unalive us both. And he made a bad decision that time. I'll put it that way. But then he comes out of there with all the power. And then the celestial twins come out there to try and stop him. And the guy was saying, this is my fault because even though I was locked away, I helped him get this. So I have to be the one to make the ultimate sacrifice to undo it. And then she was like, no, please. And I'm like, how are you going to be upset now after you were the main one telling him that he was such an awful person? Like, I get it, but he was being forced to do it. You know what I'm saying? You can't tell him he's an awful person and then be upset because he's trying to fix his awful mistake that you told him he made. Meanwhile, the guy from the dog clan is he's doing it. And then when he stopped using those swords and he picked up that axe, because that was his weapon, y'all. Remember? He knew how to use an axe. He knew how to throw. He picked up that axe and he threw it, and it made it, the monster go away for a short period of time. And then he had to go out there, and then the Lark went to confront the princess. And she was like, you know what? I got something for you. And they had the little conversation. That conversation was pretty deep. And then she stabbed her. She was like, you can either go and get help and never come back because you're not worthy to rule anybody, or you can take that out and you can bleed out slowly, And she chose to bleed out slowly on her throne, talking about some remember me. That's what I'm talking about. She was prideful and arrogant. She just wanted her name down in the history books. She didn't actually want to help anybody. I was like, that's some tomfoolery. And this is right before the people, got in there. The mob that was angry at her got in there. But anyways, he's still fighting this thing. And then it gets to where he's taking some heavy damage. And I'm like, oh no, I don't know if he's going to survive this one. And then she tries to come and help. And I'm like, listen, that's real cute, but what are you going to do? Remember, you're just a regular elf. You're not a witcher elf, okay? It's not gonna work. You can't sustain the kind of damage that he's sustaining. One, he's a dude. He's bigger than you. Muscle mass is there, and he's got the power of a witcher, okay? You're not gonna survive. And she gets almost knocked into oblivion, and then he gets pissed, and then he starts like, I don't know, morphing or like getting angry, or whatever. He's using that anger as a source of strength, and he manages to take that thing down. Like how he took that thing down, I was like, come on now. Pretty good. And then he starts to lose it, and I was like, dang it, we could have had a good thing going. We could have had a good romance, rather fast-paced romance continuing, but he didn't lost it, and now they probably gonna have to unalive him, and that's if they can stop him. And so he starts going towards the guy, and so the guy who was like, I think he was actually married to the other young lady who was the celestial twin, the woman twin, and he was like, they were like, listen, we're gonna need you to like, he had kind of made it. They made it clear that, like, if he loses it, y'all gonna have to put him down, okay? And he stepped in because he was the only guy in the group. And he stepped up, okay? And he was like, I'm not gonna let him, like, pulverize everybody. I'm sorry, fella. Like, you did your best and we love you, but, you're gonna snap. You gotta go. And then got his whole eye knocked out. I was like, oh my God, they're in trouble now. And then the others were getting ready, despite it all. Like, they had already got in their minds that this might be the end. So at any moment, that could be a wrap for them. But they're gonna go down fighting if that's the case. But then the Lark started singing. I was like, girl, you better sing. You better use them pipes. You better use them pipes and sing. You better sing that lullaby. And she started singing, and he started coming down a little bit. But I guess he just couldn't control it, that kind of stuff. Like it was so sad to see because you never know the grip that he was slipping, how hard he was trying, but he just wasn't, because they were saying like, this is going to corrupt your humanity. Like you're going to become a monster that wants to just destroy things like how monsters do. Like part of him probably was still gone whenever he, was unalive the first time. And he was telling her, you gotta end it because I can't control it. And that was so depressing when she had to stab him. And then she cried. And then doggone it, when the other guy helped them. And she created like a link between them. And he broke that obelisk. And then the spheres conjoined or whatever. And she was looking like, what is going on? And then humans were where elves was. And I think there were a couple of elves that were thrown into the other sphere too. And the monsters are now introduced into their world. Everything is different. And see, that's why I was like, you know what? These people, these clans don't need to be fighting each other. She don't need to be killing all these people because they're going to need these elves, okay? Because remember in the Witcher series, this was like thousands of years, if I'm not mistaken, later, when I think the elves were being persecuted and there weren't as many of them as there were before because of, like racism and stuff like that. And I was like, y'all need all the elves y'all can get. Like, stop tripping. bury the hatchet and be friends. But anyways, that's why it didn't make sense to me. Like, other than, like I said, her just narrow-mindedness as a royal, and like this, this person who was like ambitious, talking about, I want to go to other worlds so I can conquer them. Like, her selfishness and her arrogance, it clouded her judgment from seeing the bigger picture. But like I said, they needed all the elves they could keep, okay? But anyways, come to find out, this girl done got pregnant with this man-child. And she's sitting there pregnant, just like, rocking herself, rubbing her stomach. And I was like, I know she miss him. I know she does. And they were like, well, one more prophecy? And she was like, sure, why not? And then those last, and I would be lying to y'all, but as I told y'all, I knew exactly what she was talking about. And it was probably something along the lines of Siri coming up and that baby. Because now, if I'm, not mistaken, I know a little bit about genetics. Usually when somebody changes after they're born, those genetics are not automatically passed down to the next generation. That's not how genetics work. Unless somehow in the genetics, when they, we can say that the Witcher is like a mutation. Let's put it that way. Usually mutations are not passed down genetically from father to child. But I guess the genetics in this series said, ha, and did it anyways. So I guess they were implying that that baby is going to be some kind of different from everybody else because of the father, him being a witcher, what happened to him, etc. And do remember, they literally conceived that baby right after he became a witcher. So it's crazy, like I said, because it was like an early form of a witcher, which is kind of cool, them going back and creating an origin story. Very interesting. Like I said, I feel like people threw the book at this series. And like I said, I have an idea of why. And I don't appreciate it. But I'm not going to say it in this video. If you know. Just put down in the comments, I know. But I thought it was a good series, though. It was a pretty good series. Like I said, they should have stretched it out over maybe double the amount of episodes, even 10 or 12, to make, like I said, those time gaps a little better. Maybe they didn't want filler in the episode, so to speak, but I feel like if they would have added more, it wouldn't have been filler. It just would have been more believable. Like, I get it. I hate slow burns. Like, it's nice. Like, we have to learn how to condition ourselves to not go into instant gratification. Like, yeah, I went from here to here, like, in no time. But at the same time, we want the filler to be believable and not just filler, but like actual, bonding moments and, going from here to here, like character development, something in between that makes sense, that makes it believable. But I still did like the series. I still did think it was okay. Like I said, I hate that people throwing an absolute book at it, but they're going to definitely throw the book at it after season 3, because I think that's when Henry Cavill will be gracefully bowing out of the series, unfortunately. I guess had something to do, allegedly, I'm going to say allegedly, with the people who were, I think the directors or the producers, not following the source material and messing up the story, and him being an avid follower of the source material and the movies, the books, the games, and him knowing how it's supposed to go, and them not following that, but still expecting him to do it. I don't blame them either. So, and anything else could have happened, between him or somebody else. We don't know. Like I said, allegedly, all allegedly. But hopefully they change something and they bring him back, because we want him back, right? Hopefully, but I doubt it, because, that's what they do in these little situations. Them doing what they want to do means more than what the people want and the actors, how they feel, their input. Just sad, but I'm going to add allegedly on that so people won't come for me. But anyways, like I said, I did think this was a pretty good series. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. How about that? Better than what a whole lot of people were giving it. My God. But anyways, y'all let me know what y'all thought about the series, respectfully, because I don't want y'all dragging the series, okay? You say, I hated it, or, it was all right, Y'all let me know what y'all thought about it, respectfully, down in the comments below.